Hey there, Ivo once again. Welcome back to the next review in Batman franchise. Today I'm gonna talk Batman Returns, the sequel, which came out in 1992, but I'll just show you the Blu-ray disc. So that's Batman, Catwoman, and the Penguin, which is the sequel to Batman 1989, which I reviewed. I have my own Blu-ray. If you're wondering, the title is Slovenian, it's actually Batman Returns, but you can see this title, Batman Returns, which is direct sequel to, Batman 1989, and definitely, I'll say, a kick-ass sequel, a surpassing, really good, entertaining, kick-ass sequel, and watching this movie again, since now today I have to say that Batman Returns is definitely my second favorite movie in the Batman franchise. The last movie directed by Tim Burton. Since then he stayed the producer on the next two entries, but he did not direct them. Michael Keaton returns the final time as Cape Crusader, the Dark Knight Batman. But in the Flashpoint, Michael Keaton signed that he's gonna return as the oldest Batman in the Flash next year, which the movie is coming out. So that's awesome. Michael Keaton will finally return as Batman Bruce Wayne. So that will be awesome. So also Ben Affleck will be also in that movie as Batman. But Michael Keaton is the best Batman. Hands down, to me, he's the best Batman. You know, hands down. I don't get it why Batman Returns gets so much crap on it, or why it gets so much shit on it. I don't understand the hate. And yes, I saw a lot of comments who hated this film so much. They shredded it to pieces, and I will never understand this film. Never understand the hate for this film. Tim Burton and Michael Keaton, they both thought that this sequel is actually much better than the original. They both felt that it's better than the original. I don't agree with that. The original is still my favorite, and definitely my favorite Batman ever. I love Batman 99, but Batman Returns I love to death too. I love this movie to death too. They're both equal, and this was the final movie until Warner Brothers, they released Batman the Animated Series, because this was released on June 19 in the US in all movie theaters, and Batman the Animated Series, they actually were released in September 1992, and it lasted for 4 seasons. So that was awesome, and they did with the first episode that they did with Catwoman. So another thing that's awesome. So now Batman Returns, so that I'm not gonna talk that much. I'm gonna go to the story, then I go to the facts. So Batman, actually I'm just gonna call him the Dark Knight, Cape Crusader, the Dark Knight. This time is battling the Red Triangle gang, actually the Red Triangle Circus gang, who are actually a rogue gang who are terrorizing citizens in Gotham City, and their leader is Oswald Cobblepot, played by Danny DeVito as the Penguin, who kidnaps Max Schreck, on Christmas Eve. But this is actually on Christmas Eve he goes and kidnaps Max Schreck, played by Christopher Walken. Christopher Walken plays another villain that he did in A View to a Kill, in James Bond flick, which I reviewed that film. And Max Schreck is actually he's the owner of the Shrek plants, his own toxic plant. But he's a criminal and a killer, and of course Penguin uses him to get what he wants, to be the mayor of the Gotham City. And meantime, while Batman is fighting the Red Triangle circus gang, Bruce Wayne has a meeting with Max Schreck. And meantime, on the speech for the tree lighting, when the gang, terrorized citizens on the holiday in Gotham City, Batman, the Cape Crusader Dark Knight, he's been called in action once again. And of course, when Max Schreck makes a deal with the Penguin, because the Penguin blackmails Max Schreck, because he has an evidence, that everything he has an evidence, but his plan, his work. So they make an ally, and Max Schreck decides to help him out to become the next mayor of Gotham City. In meantime, Selina Kyle, played by Michelle Pfeiffer, she's a secretary in the Shrek, and she somehow finds the business, because Max Schreck, is actually finds out that she was snooping around his files. He goes and launches her out of the window. And Selina Kyle falls down, but she gets killed, but she gets awakened, by the cats. And now Selina Kyle, she becomes like, all pissed, and I still don't know why she went and destroyed her toy rubber pets, but she destroyed them. She destroyed that little house by paint. She destroyed all the t-shirts. I don't know how much it costs to destroy so much valuable stuff. And she became now a vigilante and a masked how you call it, villain, a masked villain, a Catwoman. She turns herself into a Catwoman, and in order to get revenge on Max Schreck, by becoming the Catwoman, she goes and fights, this guy who muggers this girl. She fights him off. She goes and uses her claws, handmade mechanical claws. She goes and cuts the guy by face and kills him, And she grabs the woman and she says, you're always waiting for someone, Batman, to save you. My name is Catwoman. You hate me more, And she makes a flip sides, And I'll talk more about it, but now I'm by the story. So, meantime, when Batman tries to find out more about the Red Triangle Circus gang, what they after, why they keep attacking the citizens on Gotham City, Bruce Wayne actually goes and he meets, he goes and meets Selina Kyle in the office, because then Max Schreck is actually surprised that she's still alive, that she's still alive. So he says, now I'm gonna throw her out, she tries to blackmail me, I'm gonna throw her out of the bigger window. So that was cool. Excuse me. I forgot to mention, I only do have the Blu-ray Batman Returns. I tried to get it early, a long time ago, the DVD, but couldn't. So I only do have the Blu-ray, of the film. But here's some shots, Batman, Catwoman, Penguin, Bruce Wayne, Selina Kyle, the Batmobile, Penguin and Batman, there's some shots in the back, So now, so actually Selina starts liking, Bruce Wayne, and they both meet each other, and Bruce Wayne invites her in his mansion, on a lunch. And by the way, Batman Returns is actually direct sequel to the original Batman, because they also mention what happened to Vicky, that she moved on, I think the writer supposed to be Sam Hamm, but his screenplay was replaced. So they actually explained what happened to Vicky, that that she left. She couldn't understand the two roles for Bruce Wayne, so she left him. That was explanation in the film. For the sequel. What happened with Vicky? Why Kim Basinger was not did not return? I think that Kim Basinger was never offered to return. They actually didn't have in mind to return her to the sequel, so that's cool, because this is a new story set on a Christmas Eve, and I really enjoy this film. I love this movie to death. So while Catwoman goes and destroys one of Max Shrek's stores, because for the revenge, Batman goes. He meets face to face the Penguin, and he goes after Catwoman, and they both fight each other. And Batman goes, and throws her out of the. Out of the lodge, he goes and off a ledge. He throws her off the ledge, but she's been saved by a kitty litter. And she allies now with Penguin, in order to destroy Batman. And of course, the Penguin wants to destroy his Batmobile, by blowing him off. But Catwoman has a better idea to frame Batman to be a villain and make him into a freak that terrorizes the Gotham, just like was in the first movie. And and of course to make him into what he despises into them, and Penguin's men, they put those that control device under his car, so when Batman drives the car, Penguin is now controlling the car, and he goes and destroys the police cars, the unaware citizens, and I love when Batman, defuse that control device, and stops the car before someone gets killed or hurt, and goes home, which I enjoy that, and of course, while everything that Penguin said, he recorded it, and he exposed the Penguin as the fraud he is. The angry mob starts. The cops are chasing him. He once again jumps in the sewer, and he goes and escapes. And now he plots revenge on the Shrek's masked ball. The masked costume ball. Bruce Wayne shows up. Because of Selena. And he's for Selena, while Selena is for Shrek. She wants to kill him. They finally found each other. That they both, they finally found each other's secret identity, and Penguin goes, and blows the stuff to pieces and kidnaps Max Shrek. He tries to kidnap cheap Shrek, but he keeps Max Shrek, and he goes and he wants revenge, and he sends his red triangle circus goons, to go and kidnap the babies, but Batman saves them, and he sends the armies of penguins to destroy the Gotham, but Batman with his device, goes and controls the penguins, and of course fights off Penguin. And when he gets the device, and stops the device, the penguins blows the whole zoo to pieces, and Penguin actually falls into his demise. And of course, Shrek tries to escape and gets attacked by Selena as Catwoman. And then Shrek finds out that Batman is Bruce Wayne, because this is the first time that we see that he takes the mask off. And this is the first time we see he takes the mask off, and yeah, and Batman, of course, he's tired, and he tries to convince Selena, but she doesn't want to listen to him. Selena does not want to listen to him. She goes and cuts him, and Max goes with Smith & Wesson Model 66 and shoots her. He goes and pulls all the barrels, but she's still alive. She goes and electrocutes both of them, with that electroshock. She goes with a kiss, electrocutes them. Batman can't find, he can't go and find Selena anywhere, but he finds Shrek, fried. Penguin shows up, but he actually goes and puts wrong umbrella and he falls down. And he gets killed, he sees Batman's face and he falls down. And the penguins grabs him and puts him in the water. And the movie then ends with in which Batman finds the cat Kitty, and it's now a Christmas, and the movie of course ends in which you see Catwoman. But the movie then ends. So that's the story, so that I'm not gonna talk for at least an hour. I actually make it shorter now. Now they cast Michael Keaton, excellent as Batman, Bruce Wayne. I think he did a great job, fantastic job. Like I said in previous review, he acted the character like it was right in his skin, and thank God he will return. I hope he doesn't have only one scene. I hope he has a few more scenes in the Flash movie. I hope he does, in that Flashpoint. I really hope so, because Michael Keaton is still to me the best Batman ever. Like I said, Tim Burton and Michael Keaton both returned. They both felt that this sequel is better than the original. I don't agree with that, but it's my second favorite Batman film. I love this film to death, Love this, love the, how you call it, Batman signal, I love his Batman signal. So I love this movie to death. Now Michelle Pfeiffer was excellent as Catwoman. Selena Kyle, she was great. Yes, I said it, she was great. She was portrayed like in a comic book, and I'll get actually more into it. And also we'll talk about also Cobblepot, Danny DeVito's Penguin. I also go into both of them. There's a TV show out there, Gotham. They already ended by 5th season, and I watched the first 4 seasons 3 years ago. I watched all of them because I enjoyed the first 4 seasons. And Selena Kyle was actually really portrayed better than Anne Hathaway. She was Michelle Pfeiffer. She portrayed it excellent, the character on the comic book, but there are a few stuff that they actually made up, the producers. Before I continue, what's great and what isn't. First off, Annette Bening was hired to be as Catwoman, Selena Kyle, but she got pregnant and she ended up to drop the role. She ended up to drop out of the film. So Michelle Pfeiffer was cast as Selena Kyle, Catwoman, and Michelle Pfeiffer still said that it was challenging to take the role. That in an interview, because I saw because this Blu-ray has special features. I think was the Bat, the Cat, and the Penguin, which Robert Urich, rest in peace, from Magnum Force, and from the tons of his movies, he actually was the narrator, and he was the special guest, which shows the interviews with Tim Burton, with Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, and Michelle Pfeiffer, how they actually landed the roles. How Michelle Pfeiffer was talking. She said it was challenging, but then later she said that she really loved to portray the character Selina Kyle. She worked very hard. She trained, for the fight scene. She trained karate, kickboxing, and she worked very hard. She had a special trainer for the VIP scenes, So in my opinion, Michelle Pfeiffer had a great costume, So again, I'll talk more about Michelle Pfeiffer, why she was great, and what this movie did correctly, and what they did false. The false was Selina Kyle was actually never a secretary by Shrek's plant or Shrek's firm. She never was a secretary, and she was never forgettable. She was never saying, "Honey, I'm home." She never talked. She never acted like that. She was a wise kid. She was a thief and a cat burglar, and she was called as Catwoman. So that's the only false scenes that they did. But the scene when Shrek pushes her out of the window, that was in a comic book. Just in the comic book, Selina Kyle was not pushed from Max Shrek. She was actually, I think she was pushed by Bruce Wayne, by a clone of Bruce Wayne, because in season 3 or season 4, she actually was pushed by a clone Bruce Wayne, by young Bruce Wayne. She was pushed out of the window, and she gets then resurrected by a group of cats. So that was based on a comic book. And the reason, I read it years ago, the reason why the filmmakers made that the cat shows up and starts licking Michelle Pfeiffer, that Selina Kyle gets resurrected, was actually because she had tons of cat food hidden. So they probably used CGI, or probably she had a lot of cat food, the smell brings the cats to her by licking her. So that's how they actually made it, as special effects. So that was actually awesome. Now for the costume, I'm gonna find the costume. Also, Michelle Pfeiffer put a live bird in her mouth. She put a live bird in her mouth because she thought that all the models were fake, and she did and put the live bird in her mouth. So that was awesome. The cat suit was so tight that Michelle Pfeiffer had trouble hearing her own voice. She many times when she talked, she could not hear her voice, so she was talking so much loud. So Tim Burton had to go and tell her to lower her voice, because she couldn't hear herself. But she went through 60 cat suits. They made 60 cat suits during the 6 months shooting. Catwoman's costume was vacuum sealed. There were 60 latex cat suits were created for the 6-month shot, and one costume a day cost $1 million. $1 million, Actually, I have in my notes, but Michelle Pfeiffer wears a costume for 12 hours to 14 hours a day. It was so tight, I think she was really exhausted. I think the actress barely breathed herself, Anthony DeLongis was actually Michelle Pfeiffer's trainer for the VIP. The first time in the costume, when Catwoman goes and knocks down 4 mannequins, head. The first time she accidentally hit. I think she accidentally hit her trainer, Anthony DeLongis in his face. but he acted like a gentleman and they keep continue training. It was accidental. And she actually had to learn how to use whip, different than Indiana Jones, She had to learn with the whip, like how she knocks down the mannequins. Now the fight scenes, Michelle Pfeiffer did her own stunts for the fight scenes, but when you see, when Michelle Pfeiffer grabs the woman and says you only are waiting for another Batman to save you, and she says, "My name's Catwoman, you hear me more," and she goes and makes those flip sides, that's not Michelle Pfeiffer, that was a stunt woman, and that was Kathy Long, 5-time world kickboxing champion, and she also did a few fight scenes for as a stunt double, but those flip side, that was Kathy Long, that wasn't Michelle Pfeiffer, it was actually Kathy Long. So I love the costume for Michelle Pfeiffer better than Anne Hathaway. I love the costumes. The reason what I also love about the Catwoman in this movie is because she's an enemy to Batman. She's an enemy. She allies with Penguin. She's an enemy. And I love that Batman and Catwoman fights in this movie. In The Dark Knight Rises, they don't fight. They fight in this movie. And I love the fight scenes, I love when Catwoman goes and Catwoman, she goes, and the fight scene on the roof, she saves Batman, Batman saves her, she goes and stabs him, and Batman goes and punches her off the ledge, she falls in the kitty litter, I think that was also in the comic books, that was correctly, but she lands on the kitty litter. So that was awesome, so that scene was awesome. There's also a scene when Catwoman goes and kidnaps the Ice Princess. Actually, Penguin did that, but she goes and kidnaps Ice Princess, and Batman says, I don't have time, I've been afraid like they did, like I did this, and Catwoman shows up, and she attacks him, and I love the scene when Batman grabs her, says, grabs her, throws her on the floor and says, eat the floor. It's High Weber, I love this guy. I love Michael Keaton as Batman. He grabs her, throws her on the floor, eat the floor. It's High Weber. I love that, But he throws her, eat the floor. I love that scene. Love that scene. And she goes, hey, start it, you got a relationship, and he goes and punches her in the head, and she goes, cuts Ice Princess, use the chair and the whip, throws the on Batman, those chair, he turns around, she grabs Ice Princess and she escapes, a good stock, they both escape, and Batman goes, on the floor, she said, and the Ice Princess says, he let me go, and Batman says, stand still, don't move, And that time, Penguin grabs the umbrella and there's a bats, and the bats, and Ice Princess was lands on the control of the tree, and when the tree opens the lights, there are actually bats, terrorizing Gotham City citizens. And I love when Batman uses those wings, that stands for bat and goes and flies. I love that scene. That's a cool scene in my opinion. The bats were actually CGI, they weren't live bats. It was problematic on the set, so they weren't live, so they actually weren't live bats, so they were CGI. But Catwoman was fantastic when she goes and stabs once again. When Batman gets shot, in blame for the princess murder, and he gets shot, by car, she goes and stabs on him, stands with her boot on him, and she talks to him, and she goes and licks him, and she goes and stabs him, and I love that scene when Batman punches her once again, and she loses another claw, another sharp claw she lost, and says, damn, I love the scene when Penguin says that he's a mayor and that she's gonna have sex with him, and she rejects his sexual favors, and he gets pissed. He grabs the umbrella, looks like a propeller, a trick umbrella, puts her, says, I don't like you, go to heaven, you know, and it's like a propeller, and she puts that thing out, and she lands. She goes and flies. She falls down and lands in the glass, you know, of all the flowers. She lands, you know, and she's like. Her costume's completely destroyed. You see with her, and she goes and screams, you know, and all the glasses landing down. I love that scene. But yeah, I think that I love the scene when Selina Kyle, as Catwoman, goes and fights Batman. I love that scene. You know, the first time they meet, she makes those flip sides, those acrobatic flip sides. That was Cathy Long, and the whole store blows to pieces. You know, Shrek's store blows to pieces, and that's a great practical effect. That wasn't CGI. So in my opinion, Michael Keaton, Michelle Pfeiffer did a great job. You know, these two did a great job. You know, these two they did a great job. Great costume. Actually, I'll show you just great costume. You know. Great costume by Catwoman. Great costume. Now Danny DeVito, who was actually the leader of the Red Triangle Circus Gang, you know, Oswald Cobblepot as the Penguin. Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito spent 2 hours a day in makeup. You know, he was forbidden to describe the penguin's makeup. He actually spent 2 hours on a makeup, and he was refused to talk to anyone. He wasn't allowed even to leave his trailer. And I read that he said that he was so lonely, he wasn't allowed to talk to anyone. You know, he wasn't allowed. It was forbidden him. In favor, his friend Jack Nicholson, who played Jack Napier, Joker, you know, he actually said that he should take the part, you know, so he did. He accepted the part as Oswald Cobblepot. Now, Oswald Cobblepot was, in my opinion, correctly portrayed on comic books, you know, because Oswald Cobblepot was actually mayor. He was in the TV show Gotham. He was mayor. In this movie, he was he was on the election for the mayor, but lost election. I think in comic book, Oswald Cobblepot was actually the mayor. He actually was the mayor in that time, you know. But I love the costume for Penguin. You know, I think that Danny DeVito did a perfectly job as Oswald Cobblepot, the Penguin. He did a great job, you know. I think he did a fantastic job, you know, playing the character, and I love the costumes, you know, because they're, yeah, because this was great, you know, this was great, you know, but also here's the scene with Penguin, you know, so that was great. I love the Batmobile, you know, I actually love the Batmobile, the fight scenes. But yeah, Penguin was, in my opinion, fantastic. I think this movie did right. You know, not, there are a few fictional elements, but by comic books, I think they did it correctly. Not all, but they did, you know. As for Michael Keaton as Batman, I love that he's back, you know. Like, when the Red Triangle Circus Gang are attacking, you know, the citizens of... the citizens of Gotham City, and a bat signal has been open, you know, and Michael Keaton sits there, and the bat signal goes and shines at him. I love that scene. Now to the bat suit, which I also wrote down. Batman doesn't wear boots in this movie, just like he did in the first movie. This time the suit was different, you know. They are actually Air Jordan 6s. The batsuit weighed 55 pounds, you know, so that was awesome. Also, the new batsuit, you know, had a zipper for urination, because in the first movie he didn't. It was also flexible foam cuber, So yeah, so that was awesome. They actually because Michael Keaton wanted a different. This time it was created a different bat suit that was in the first movie. Like I said, the zipper in the boots weren't actually, even though they look like the boots. And this time, because in the first movie, Bob Greenwood, he went and made the costume, the costume for the Joker and for Batman. This movie was actually Mary E. Watt who was actually the designer for the costumes, and she bring back Bob Greenwood, to help her out. So Mary Watt was actually the costume designer for Catwoman, Penguin, and Batman in this movie. So the batsuit was different, more lighter. It was more lighter than the first movie. So that was cool. That was awesome. So that was also awesome, In the open scene, when you see a woman and a man go and show the baby, in the river, those were Cobblepot's parents, and Tucker and Esther Cobblepot, Tucker, the father of Oswald, was been actually played by Paul Rubens, and Diane Salinger, she played Esther Cobblepot. I also love the fight scenes. The fight scenes, like in the open scene, when Batman goes with the Batmobile, and he puts those desks out and knocks down those circus people, those circus gangs. I love the fight scene. Also, David Lee was also one of those. Fight. The guy who was a martial arts choreographer for the fight scenes. I think was him or was someone else who was training those people, to go in to fight Batman, because Batman goes kicks everyone. There's this guy who kidnaps Selena, grabs her with a shocker gun, stun gun. I'll call it stun gun, and of course, Batman uses he uses spearing grappling hook, that gun, and the guy says missed, and he puts the rope. And he pulls the bricks and hits the guy. I like the scene. It's a great scene. And also when a Pudle goes in the store with a grenade and goes out, the grenade explodes. And Batman goes and fights those guys again, which I love the fight scene. Great choreographed. Batman goes and fights everyone. There's also a strong man, and that was actually Rick Zumwalt, the two strong men. And this guy stands, and Batman goes, punches him and shows him, and the strong man goes and says, punch me again, and Batman punches him, and the guy, and he puts him the bomb, he strapped the bomb on him. And I love the scene when Batman smiles, punches him, the guy explodes. That was Rick Zumwalt from Over the Top, which I reviewed Over the Top. Love that film to death. He punches it down and he gets blown to pieces. I really love that scene. Or the guy stands and Batman goes, punches him. Love that scene. The fight scene between Batman and Catwoman. I love that scene. I love that Catwoman and Batman fight each other in this movie. I love that scene. I love that Catwoman is an enemy to Batman. I love that scene. I love the fight scene, I love when Batman grabs her and shows her on the floor, says, eat the floor. I love that scene. I love that fight scene. Definitely my favorite scene will be when Batman grabs Catwoman, shows her on the floor, says, eat the floor, when he tries to rescue Ice Princess. Ice Princess was played by was actually played by actress Christy Conaway. Sadly, the actress doesn't play anymore. The first movie did a huge success. This movie didn't. The budget for this movie was $80 million because the first one cost $35 million, made over $446 million. This movie made only $266 million gross worldwide, $162 million in US and Canada, and opening weekend was only $45 million earned, in US and Canada. So that's really sad that it made only $266 million. The first one they actually filmed in the Pinewood Studios, in the James Bond Studios in England. This time they actually filmed in the US, in Burbank, Warner Brothers Studios in California. So that's kind of different location, but I love the Gotham City. I also love the Gotham City in this movie. I love that it's dark. I love this movie that's more serious, that's dark. There's no Robin, there's no sidekicks. I love that Batman is alone. I love that he goes in fights. I love that Catwoman is an enemy and a foe to Batman, not a love interest. Fuck the comics if she was a love interest. I love that she was an enemy to him, So that's one of the reasons why I also love the movie to death, because it's more serious, because it's more darker. And I love the villains. I think Christopher Walken, Tim Burton was scared of Christopher Walken, but he was cast then in Sleepy Hollow. I think it was Sleepy Hollow with Johnny Depp. He was cast because Tim Burton said that he was scared. That man scared me. Michelle Pfeiffer's salary was actually $3 million. They actually offered Annette Bening $1 million for playing Catwoman, Selena Kyle, but because she got pregnant at that time, she had to drop out. So salary for Michelle Pfeiffer was $3 million. Michael Keaton's salary was actually $110 million, and I think the studio was unhappy with that, but Tim Burton said that he deserves it, which I agree. But for his salary on Batman, the 1989 Batman was only $5 million. This time he got $110 million because he deserves it, and he's gonna return in the Flash next year. I can't wait. He's going to be the third time Batman. Older Bruce Wayne, older Batman. So that's gonna be awesome. Because my opinion. Call it what you want, but Michael Keaton is the best Batman in my opinion. Best Bruce Wayne, best Batman. I think he did. I think that he did a fantastic job. He was a badass, and he did fantastic job acting as Bruce Wayne and Batman. There's like scene when he meets Selena Kyle outside. And she says like she like weighs 105 or something. And Bruce Wayne says Batman these are damaged. He probably saved them by many of the damages, or the $1 million damages, because I agree. And Batman, this movie is a hero. Penguin goes and he goes and his man goes and kidnap the babies, but he goes and he stops them. That when from that monkey, when Penguin gets the note, that was actually Tim Burton's sign. I read that it was so hard and difficult to get the shot in which the monkey brings the note to Penguin, because the animal was actually terrified of Penguin's makeup. It was really hard to get it in one shot. And that was a real monkey. It wasn't. It actually wasn't a mechanical monkey. It was a real trained monkey. The army of penguins were actually created, designed by Stan Winston. Who did the Predator suit he did for he did for Aliens. He also helped to make a mechanical penguins, which are robots, mechanical penguin robots, but they found live penguins sleeping during mechanicals, so that was kind of scary. um, 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 they were actually mechanical robots, as army penguins. They actually found real penguins sleeping between the mechanicals ones. That was kind of terrifying. They were used 30 African penguins and 12 king penguins, for the army. The rest were actually CGI created, and CGI effects that in the 90s are great, in my opinion. I love the scene in which Batman drives, the boat ski boat, submersible watercraft. He drives the bat ski boat. The first time avoids penguin being blown with rockets. I love that. I love that Batman drives the bat ski boat. I love the scene when penguin goes and puts the control device in his car, and you see like the car goes and destroys Gotham's police car, or destroys the cars. I love that scene. It's fantastic. I love the Batman drives bat ski boat on the sewer, so that's awesome. That was fantastic. That actually was, in my opinion, fantastic. I love the scene when Batman, for the first time goes and fights Catwoman, and he punches her off the ledge, and she lands on the kitty litter. I remember when I saw as a kid, that this movie was actually a huge hit. It was another summer blockbuster, didn't do much money, but it actually was a hit once again, and I actually love, I don't know, I think that my favorite scene will be when, definitely my favorite scene will be when actually Batman goes and punches Catwoman, off the ledge, and she goes and she lands in the kitty litter, when she says saved by a kitty litter. I love that scene when she falls on the track. So that will be my favorite scene. My second favorite scene will be when Batman grabs Catwoman, throws her, and says, "Leave the floor," or when he goes and fights a strongman, the circus strongman, and he puts him a bomb, straps him a bomb, smiles and punches him. That will be my third favorite scene. Or when Catwoman destroys the Shrek's apartment store. Great scene. They actually, when 2004, Michelle Pfeiffer found the whip, she tried to do it once again, but she forgot everything. She said she was a little rusty, but she really trained hard, for the film, for the character, over 60 latex cat suits were made for Michelle Pfeiffer. But she was wearing, a costume for 12-14 hours. It was so tight, I think she barely breathed for the film. I think that Mary Vogt and Bob Ringwood, they both did good costumes. I love the costume for Michelle Pfeiffer. I love the costume. I love the costume and the makeup for Penguin. I love the costume for Batman. Danny Elfman returns with the score. Pat Hingle also returns, and Michael Gough as Alfred, helper of Bruce Wayne, also returns. They all return from the first movie. Love the music score by Danny Elfman. It was really awesome. The fight scenes. I love that the movie is dark. That's dark. But I think that Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer did a great job. This will be the final movie that Tim Burton directed, and the final movie that Michael Keaton returned. He refused to return for the third movie, which probably review Batman Forever soon. Because I'm going to watch and review all these Batman films. I'm not going to review and watch the Dark Knight trilogy so far. I only want to review the first 4 Batman films because I was really wishing to do those reviews. I think that actually is I think it's a great sequel. I think it's an entertaining sequel. My second favorite in the Batman franchise. I love this movie to death. I enjoy this movie. I don't understand the hate for this film or why people hate this film. I don't get it. But that's my movie review on Batman Returns 1992. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And have a good day. And I'll see you on the next review. So I'm out. And take care now. Bye bye.